Peace, peace, peace. What's going on, world? Welcome for another Substantial Weekly. My name is Substantial. Happy to see everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to my channel. If it's your first time, make sure you hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, all that good stuff. You know the routine. But yeah, man, glad to see folks up in here per usual. Shout out to everyone in the chat. We got folks watching on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook as well. Peace to Blair, what's going on? Nice afro in the house. Peace, what's going on, fam? Ramon Arbaza, peace, what's going on, fam? Good to see a lot of the regulars up in here. That guy Frankie, peace, what's going on? My man Joshua, peace, what's going on? All right. I see Josh checking in on Twitch, showing Twitch love too. I know I don't go super hard on Twitch, but it's all good, man. I appreciate y'all popping up. Hey, what's going on, nephew? What's going on? Peace. What's up, Nair? Good to see you. Oh man, you're in the Big Apple right now. You're in New York. Dope. That's what's up, man. Safe travels. But yeah, Marquise Gray, peace. What's up? What it is? Yeah, man. Good to see everybody up in here. A lot to catch up on today. Different things going on. But before we get started, I just wanted to remind folks, if it's your first time watching, if you don't know the routine already, be sure to say peace. Let us know where you're tuning in from in the world, all that good stuff. And yeah, man, lots to share with y'all. But first and foremost, man, wanted to just point out, in case y'all hadn't noticed, with it being February now, I feel like 2023 is flying by, man. We're zooming through it already. But happy Black History Month, man. You know what I mean? Happy Black History Month to everybody, It's only right, you know what I'm saying? If you know that image, you know what it is. And if you don't, man, I'm about to get you hip. But being that it's Black History Month, I feel like we got to set it off proper. We're gonna do a couple things today. But real quick, first couple quick shout outs to the chat. Warpath, peace. What's up, fam? Good to see you up in here. All right. Peace. Kevin tuning in from Texas. Good to see you up in here. Peace, brother. All right. Let's see. Not Even Lying, was listening to Sacrifice. And then your notification came up. That's dope. That's love, man. I appreciate the love. All right. Peace. What up, Blackheart? Yeah, man. Happy Black History Month, everybody. But, I feel like every holiday needs its theme month. Shout out to the homie Mega Ran. He posted this on February 1st. And for those who know it, this is for you. For those who don't, I'm sorry in advance. Sorry, not sorry. Here we go. Let's do it.
Black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm blickety black, blacker than black, I'm blacker than black, yo, because I'm black, and I'm black.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gotta calm down. I get excited. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. So happy Black History Month once again. Hope y'all are ready for a one. A couple things to go on. Hey, what's going on, Uncrowned Otaku? Good to see you up in here. It says, looks like I'm gonna need a history lesson for that image. It's all good. Yeah, this is a bit over your age demographic, nephew. That's all good. All right. Bars. Word. Yeah, man. Clap it up for CB4. If you know, you know. If you've never seen this movie, CB4 is it's a parody film that came out. I want to say it came out early 90s. That had Chris Chris Rock, Anthony Payne, who you see right there, and a lot of other folks. Charlie Murphy was in there. Man, so many different people popped up in this film, man. But yeah, man, definitely a classic joint. Now, if you really know what's up, then you might also know about a flick called Fear of a Black Hat, which a lot of people will tell you that, like, this, CB4 is a ripoff pretty much of Fear of a Black Hat. I like both. Both of them are funny. It's debatable about which one is funnier or whatever. I can appreciate both, but one clearly bit off the other one, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, peace to everybody up in the chat. Soul Tiger, what's going on? Feels great to be back in Friday community, man. Great to see you here. Thanks for joining us. All right. Exactly, Kevin. So look, if my wife pop up in the chat, maybe I'll tell the story. But my wife has a hilarious CB4 story. She has a hilarious CB4 story. She asked me if I was going to tell it on the joint, and I was like, not without your blessing. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't gonna put her out there unless she comes in here and tells me, yeah, go ahead, just drop it. You know what I mean? But shout out to everyone here. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to another Substantial Sunday. I said Substantial Sunday, took it back. Substantial Weekly on a Friday, my bad. Tired, fam. But a lot to go over. For those who don't know, today is Bandcamp Friday. So shout out to Bandcamp for starting Bandcamp Friday back up. Yeah, man, it's definitely a lot of great stuff on there to support. We'll talk about some of that stuff in a second. I'm about to drop this link up here for y'all too. But yeah, man, so for the yeah, so folks remember the yeah, man, yo, I miss parodies as well. I do. I definitely do. Throwback the Sub Sunday. Hey, man, I miss it sometimes. You know what I mean? Sundays was a great look. But yeah, man, the link that I just dropped in there, be sure to check that out. That's my Bandcamp link for those of you who might be looking for certain merch that you don't have already. You could definitely support there. But yeah, man. Hold on one second. Trying to adjust something. Yeah, so I'm gonna drop a link. I already dropped the link in there for y'all to check out my Bandcamp. But other recommendations I would recommend y'all checking out for Bandcamp is definitely the homie Marcus D. Check out a project of his called Retro 3 that is available today. So yeah, man, definitely check that out. What was it? Funky DL has new stuff. Godzilla, they have an old project called The Pre-Lease, which has been on their Bandcamp for quite some time, but recently just got added to Spotify this week. But before we dive more into Bandcamp Friday, I also wanted to do something else, man. Do a quick flashback, play a classic video, and handle some stuff behind the scenes while you all watch that. Let's take it back real quick. Since it is Black History Month, it's only right we're gonna play this joint for y'all, man, because I take pride in being a black of all trades. So it's only right, since it's Black History Month, let's go ahead, drop this one for all the folks tuning in.
Hi, I'm Rochelle Etienne Robinson. I'm an artist, designer, arts administrator, event planner, wife, and mother. Black of all trades. I do it.
I am Victorious Jihad, husband, father, educator, speaker, author, and trainer. Black of all trades. I do it.
My name is Jay Gotti Amos. I am an author, poet, rapper, on-road student. Black of all trades. I do it.
Hey, I'm Julian Lytle, artist, cartoonist, podcaster, maker, black of all trades. I do it.
Peace. My name's Kenneth Williams. I'm a teacher, father, stepdad, educator, believer, black of all trades. I do it.
I can paint a picture with words with just brushes. Make something out of nothing, ain't nothing to make something. Cutting up samples while keeping the bass pumping. Nothing we can handle while we'll have this place jumping. You trampoline, I'd rather have a queen. Of course I am a king, so I can have a dream or be your worst nightmare. War never fight fair. If I'm free to right there, take it by any means. Learn peace from the gods, but still study balance. Fight for my serenity, if anything challenge. Right rope on a tight rope, trying to find balance. Build my skill with will plus talent. Slinger rough rhymes, training young minds, painter of the times, maker of designs, sailor of the skies, pilot of the seas, baker of the pies, refiner of the dream. I do it. Black of all trades, I do it. Put art on a page, I do it. I do it. I do it. Make something out of nothing, ain't nothing to make something if you want to. Do it. Make something out of nothing, ain't nothing to make something if you want to. Do it. Do it until it's done and there ain't nothing left to do. Do it under the sun, can tell you did it from your youth. Doing it in the park after dark, man, you. Different type of vibe, but I'ma work until it's through. I'm a mover and shaker. Up and down, simple strong, so my jaws think about it smooth as sandpaper. This is for the chance takers. Villains gave us lemons, now we lemonade makers. Don't let any man break ya. Yep, the most resilient y'all seen, babe. He don't play, but highly sought after his teammate. Nothing I can't do, you should broaden your dreamscape. Food for thought, you should be consuming what we pay. Teach, cook, write, love, speak, good, fight. Seek, look, eye shut. We must rise up often. Right rhymes, dark skin, right mind, lost wins, fly blind fortunes. I find I do it. Black of all trades, I do it. Shackle my brain, can't do it. Won't do it, never do it. Make something out of nothing, ain't nothing to make something if you want to. Do it. Make something out of nothing, ain't nothing to make something if you want to. Do it. Yeah, how you gonna tell me what I can't do when I probably did it first? Ain't nothing I can't handle. Sure as I can do it worse, so I'ma make it cooler, add a little flavor. Take us to the future, be a little greater. I ain't scared of barter, still more valuable than paper. Work a little harder, put it down and make them pay up. I leg it down, they tell me stay up. Every time I turn around, they talk about a pay cut. Trying to stop the faker who out here getting this cake up. Still surpassing his peers, wondering why he bringing race up. Cause average got us living under poverty lines. And good's only good enough part of the time. And gray don't make them hate you from afar. In the comment section like, who these niggas think they are? Black of all trades, I do it. Carry the world's weight, I do it. I'll be damned if I can't, I do it. I do it. I do it. Make something out of nothing, ain't nothing to make something if you want to. Do it. Make something out of nothing, ain't nothing to make something if you want to. Do it.
Peace, my name is Heather Jones, teacher, visual artist, daughter, and coach. Black of all trades, I do it.
My name is Precious Joubert. I am a singer, songwriter, producer, musician, artist. I teach voice, I give songwriting workshops, and most importantly, I'm a mother. Black of all trades, I do it.
Peace. My name is Substantial. Husband, father, graphic designer, educator, MC. Black of all trades, I do it. Yo, peace. What's going on, family? I hope y'all enjoyed that, man. Definitely one of my I feel like it's one of the tracks that I've done that is probably one of the most underrated. But it's definitely one of my favorite to perform. And yeah, man, thank y'all, man. I appreciate all the love. Had some little technical issues behind the scene I was trying to resolve. So sorry if it was a little choppy, but yeah, man, I appreciate all the love. Shout out to all the folks in the comments. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's crazy. In my opinion, Black of All Trades is pretty much a trademark Black history song for me, but can be listened to anytime. Wow, that's huge, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. What an anthem. So, man, I miss those after activities that let you build stuff. Man, yeah. Yo, shout out to Oxon Hill Middle School where part of the video was shot, and my man Mr. Williams, Mr. Vic, brother Vic, and so many of the other staff members who chipped in to do the video with us as well. Love this video. Leave a mark with us, cultural style. Yeah, man. Thank you. Appreciate all of man, and shout out to the other guys on the beat. They produced the joint. They definitely killed it, you know. That stands on that. Yes. Yeah, man. All right, appreciate all the love. Yeah, and that Black of All Trades logo that you saw at the end, that was actually designed by me, and is it's a shirt as well that you can buy from the website. So definitely support if you can. The love is always appreciated, man. Thank you. Um, let me see what I can do to fix the connection again. But and so I'm sorry if it's a little blurry. It's having this issue. I connected my Ethernet before. Well, correction. We went live and then I was reconnecting the Ethernet. Like when I noticed there was an issue, but for some reason it's not recognizing. So I'm gonna try again in a bit. But yeah, y'all hang in there. Sorry if it's a little blurrier than usual. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, let's keep it moving real quick and get back into things. Let me get these slides back and tell you what is coming up. So a couple quick reminders, events coming up. So first and foremost, just a friendly reminder that I will be at Farpoint next week. Let's actually do it this way. There we go. So I'll be at Farpoint next week. That event is taking place in Hunt Valley, Maryland, outside of Baltimore. Should be a really, really dope event. We're doing sketch pads that Sunday, which is happening on the 12th. And I recently confirmed that on the 11th, I'll be speaking on a panel. Shout out to the homies, the NPC Collective, and also shout out to my man, DJ A-Rock. Over the years, I've appeared at a bunch of different conventions, participating in anime and hip-hop conversations and panels. And so they asked me to do the same at Farpoint. So it should be really, really dope. I'm going to talk a brief history, of hip hop, talk about a little bit of history of anime as well and how they've coincided over the years, how one has influenced the other, et cetera, et cetera. It's really fun. I've done it a bunch of times, as I mentioned, with the homie A-Rock, also with my man Asheru, and then, of course, with the NPC Collective. So it's always a good time when we do that. I'm sure this is going to be more of the same. So if you are in the DMV area and you're looking for a convention to hit up this week, or next week, pardon me, that's a little bit cheaper than KatsuCon, you could check out Farpoint in Hunt Valley, Maryland. Should be a good time. All right. Oh, you peeped that little, yes, the little Star Trek reference in the logo for Farpoint. Yeah. So Farpoint, for those that don't know, it's a convention, but it's typically focused more on science fiction. However, there are all types of cosplayers that'll be there, and they actually have one of the former stars from Star Trek, who will be in the building. So it should be cool. Who sponsors / hosts these events? Great question. So it varies depending on who it is. This particular one, I'm not sure who sponsors Farpoint, but these conventions are sponsored by different companies. Some of those companies that sponsor them actually show up at the conventions. I know that Anime NYC is now owned by Crunchyroll, and Crunchyroll was an active part of it over the years. So depending on the convention, depends on who their partner is, and also depends on who sponsors it. But we always have a good time going to these conventions. I'm usually at several in a year. That's been the way it's. I mean, Jesus, I've been going to these now since at least maybe 2008 or 9, somewhere back there. I know. I think it was. I feel like it was. I feel like it was maybe 2 years before Nujabes passed. That I started going with my nephew. But yeah, man. All right, but let's talk about the next event that's coming up. After that, you can catch me at KatsuCon. I will be sharing a table with Artway Alliance. Shout out to Artway Alliance, who's also our partner for the event at Farpoint. And also shout out to our sponsor, Words, Beats, and Life. But I also will be at KatsuCon, and KatsuCon will be February 17th through the 19th. So me, Artway Alliance, so Substantial Art and Music, Artway Alliance, and Farpoint Convention will be sharing a booth. And so you can catch us there. And we're planning on having a sketch pads contest where basically you can come by the booth, pick up a sketch pad, work on a really dope illustration with the supplies that we have available, and then you have a certain amount of time to turn it in. Then me, um, um, the folks from Farpoint and Artway Alliance will basically judge like what our favorite illustration is, and the winner will get 4 passes to Farpoint 2024 for next year. So if you're in the DMV area and you've been thinking about doing like a quick little staycation, you know what I mean, where it's like you're in the area but you're far enough away from home or far away from your particular spot to feel like it's a vacation of sorts, but still want to check out a convention. Farpoint's a cool, smaller convention to get away to. So definitely, if you're going to be at Katsucon, be sure to check us out. I'll have more information by next week or the week after with the location of the booth once I get that info. So stay tuned for that, and yeah, I'll keep you posted. Let's see. Always loved you mixed anime medium with hip hop. Made me feel cooler back when anime wasn't as mainstream and I got clowned on it. Oh man. Well, thank you. And I feel you. I definitely feel you. The thing that Mega Ran said when I interviewed him some time back, you can watch that interview on this channel. Was he was like, first through the glass gets the bloodiest. So before anime was as popular as it is now, you know, yeah, man, you get dragged. I mean, there's still some places I go, some circle of folks that I'll hang with that they don't understand why I'm into it and this, that, and the third. And I don't bother explaining. You know what I mean? It's like, if you want to have a conversation about it, cool. But if they're just kind of clowning, I'm like, hey, man, I let them, do what they do. And I don't let anybody yuck my yum. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. It's things like anime always get clowned on until it eventually becomes mainstream. That's a fact. Indeed. Indeed. Crazy how mainstream it is now. Yeah, man. Hey, peace. What's going on? All right, good to see you up in here. All right, so let's see what we got next. All right, next event that I got going on. So in March 6th to be specific, I will be doing Monday Masterclass with this organization called Seven Drum City at their venue called The Pocket. So definitely come through to check that out if you're in this area and if you're a recording artist who's looking to get some more information about how to better market your music. Also just free resources that could benefit you, or if you're a part of a label, you're a manager, whatever it is you do, if you need some great information to help you and your artist, definitely come out and support. It's going to be a great time. Highly recommend coming out to check it out. Plus, if you've never checked out the venue called The Pocket, it'd be a great opportunity for you to check out an event space in this area that a lot of people aren't hip to. So it's going to be my first time I'm doing something there. And depending on how it goes, maybe I'll pop up and do other things there. But definitely check that out. Again, that is March 6th that I'm doing this. And the doors open at 7, event starts at 8. All right. And I would say this, man, like, I'm planning to bring merch and stuff like that. So even if let's say you're just a fan, but you're not necessarily interested in music marketing, but like you do have like people that who might benefit from the information. So maybe link up with one of your friends who does music. Come out, say, if you never met me before, great opportunity to do a meet and greet situation. And of course, I'm gonna have merchandise too. So come out if you can. The support will be greatly appreciated. It's free. So support is just showing up. You know what I mean? Like you ain't got to necessarily pay for a ticket or anything like that. Just be present if you're able to. All right. Let's see. Quick comments. Speaking of Mega Ran, is the dual collaboration album still in the works? So yeah, we've had conversations, but nothing. No dates have been chosen. We haven't sat down to do to figure out the production, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of people I've talked about collaborating with over the years. And, just keep in mind, like, a lot of times I got to consider how much I got on my plate. So the likelihood that something will happen in the future is high, but we haven't decided on definitive things just yet. So I'll keep you posted. The moment we know something, of course, I'm gonna let y'all know. I will say that as far as collaborations go, the next collaboration that's on the docket, two that have been in the works for a while. One is producing. Let's take this off the screen for a second. So one project that's happening, and I don't know why I got this my name badge up here, like y'all don't know who I am. But the next thing that I am producing outside of my album is a collaboration with Javier Starks, aka the One Will Wing. So I will be producing an EP for him. I've been producing that throughout the pandemic, and y'all have heard some of the beats, and I think y'all have heard most of the beats so far on other instrumental projects that I've done. So, but there will be some new stuff that you haven't heard that will be on there as well. So that's in the works. And of course, the next Bop Alloy album. We're also talking about finally making With Her Breaks available on vinyl, hopefully toward the end of this year. So yeah, man. So a couple things, those things that I've mentioned, certain steps have already been taken. A lot of these other projects that I've probably mentioned in passing, conversations have happened, but we haven't taken certain steps yet. All right. Let's see. Hey, what's going on? We got Uganda in the building. What up, Jeff? Good to see you, brother. All right. Man, hey, I appreciate you for tuning in, man. It was a pleasure meeting you, brother, back in December. All right. This is can't wait to see you rocking the stage, brother. Man, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'll keep y'all posted. Right now, we are talking about a tour. When I say we, that's me and the brother IQ from the MPC Collective. So we have been talking for years about doing a tour together. We'll see what happens. We have some dates in mind and stuff, and we're trying to do the East Coast, we're trying to do the West and the Midwest. But all I can tell you is we will see, because I've been at this a long time, and sometimes when you're dealing with promoters, some promoters are great and easy to work with, and others that, like everybody else, man, they got a million things they're juggling, and they're not always as responsive as we need them to be in order to make these things happen. So fingers crossed, I'll keep you posted as we secure certain dates and let you know what cities that I'm going to be in and all of that once we confirm some things. I'm going to just tell you like this, though. Hey, man, if you see me pop up in your city and you know that I don't come there often, you know what I'm saying? Like, for example, I've performed in Chicago maybe like 3 or 4 times, maybe more than that. But it's been quite some time since I've been back to Chicago. I think I haven't performed in Chicago since 2014 or 15. It's been a long time. So, because I'm not an artist that tours consistently like that. And so just keep in mind that if you see these dates pop up, and I'm in your city, do what you can to be present, man, because there's no guarantee that I'll be back. You know what I mean? Because I don't do a lot of touring. It's not something that I've necessarily needed to do to have a successful career. So while I enjoy traveling and I love performing, it's not the only thing I do. So I'm not going to put myself in crazy situations to do these shows if the promoters aren't able to do certain things. But of course, I want to see y'all, man. But that means if I come there, you got to show up. And because if folks don't show up, then don't be mad when I ain't back there for another 10 years. I'm going to be in my 60s, man. Next time you see me, I'm going to be in a damn wheelchair. Be crazy, Let's see. Definitely need to visit Javier's channel more often, and always good to hear Bop Alloy. Man, we appreciate the love. So we're not going to talk about that heat that drop. Oh, we get into that. We get into that next. I got you. All right. All right. We'll be so dope. Need to catch you live. Definitely. I don't blame you, especially if promoters are sketchy. Yeah, it's weird, man. Like sometimes you have promoters that are artists themselves So like you'll talk to a promoter who's interested, but then because they are artists themselves, if the date you're looking at doing doesn't align with their schedule in terms of not even like, for example, they have a team of folks who they work with who could help orchestrate the show. But like there was one example of someone who wasn't going to be in town, which meant that they weren't going to be able to perform with me. So because of that, they basically, just didn't get back to me. And I did a follow up at some point, didn't hear anything back. Then they finally get back and was like, yo, are you still coming this way? What are the dates? All this information that was already provided to them. And by then it was too late. And so the other thing that I do sometimes, I mainly do it out west because the West Coast has yet to let me down in terms of numbers. Like, so in other words, if I set up a show out west, in particular like LA, San Diego, I know a certain amount of people are going to show up fairly consistently. Where other cities I go to is kind of hit or miss. Even here in my hometown, not every event I do here gets a crazy turnout because I'm here. You know what I mean? Like people can see, they basically feel like they can see me whenever. So what ends up happening is in certain situations, I will buy out the venue myself, but that can be costly. And it's not something that I advise artists to do in cities that they want to perform in, that they don't have the numbers. So like, I would love to perform in Albuquerque, but I don't necessarily see enough support that comes from that particular region. And I don't do a huge lot of promo there either to justify me hitting up a random club, paying for it myself, promoting it, the event myself, and then hoping that a bunch of fans that never knew my stuff just magically show up. And then the other challenge I have too is that for some reason, and I know the reason, but without saying it, I mean, for some reason, some people will not show up to a substantial show. But let's say if I called the show a Nugent Best tribute, right? If I called it a Nugent Best tribute event, and I was the only one performing with a couple of other artists you had never heard of, unfortunately, people would be more likely to show up to that, even if the bill was the exact same, because Nugent Best has a bigger name. So I'm not, like, this is a conversation. This is no shot at anybody. Like, I've had these conversations with a bunch of different artists, Shingo, Funky DL. Like, we all know it. Like, we were successful touring artists, performing artists before Nugent Best passed away. But unfortunately, since he's passed away, there are some people that, like, they only are interested in what we've done along with Hideout and with Jun. So we get more support for those events than we do our own events, even though we're more than likely going to perform those songs. So, it's just kind of weird like that, man. So it's tough for artists. But anyway, we're going to keep it moving. Definitely not trying to harp on that too much. 60 on stage looking like Professor X. All right. And so I wonder if there's been anything new going on regarding animal arithmetic. So great question. After this, I'm going to get to the song. So with animal arithmetic, what's been happening behind the scenes, Katie Fox is hard at work trying to finish the manga. So I will definitely keep you posted the moment she has certain updates. Of course, I'm going to let you know here at the channel. But she's hard at work on that, and has done a ton of pages for it. Last I checked, it was like in the 50s or 60s the last time we spoke. So, yes, it's definitely coming. More updates hopefully soon. It says, actually, the issue or theme of the show is also determinative of the show. I think might have been a typo, Jeff. So I don't fully understand the statement. I hate that y'all. I hate that for y'all, man. But much love to the Hideout crew for sure. Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have any ill will toward anyone. You know what I mean? It's just unfortunate that it has to be like that. Sometimes people only see your value connected to certain things based on their experiences, based on what they like. I get it. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's something in my life that I'm like that with too. Hopefully you could perform at the Fire in Philly soon. Mega Ran and Kadesh Flow were supporting some great nerdcore artists last year. Hit. Yeah, no, it's definitely an idea. We will see. Let's say projects, events, and everything you got going on. Anything you find particularly helpful in staying consistent. All right, so this is coming from Twitch. Kajo, peace. What's going on? He says, they say, how do you stay on top of all the projects, events, and everything you got going on? Anything you find particularly helpful to stay consistent? Great question. So, yeah, man. With me, basically, scheduling is most of it. And then also the art of saying no, right? Like there's a ton of people who want you to do certain things, but it doesn't align sometimes with certain things you have in mind for yourself and certain goals you're trying to achieve. And I mean, these are people you care about, like really, really rock with. So of course you want to do it, but sometimes the timing in which they need to do a thing doesn't always align with when you want to do a thing. I experience that all the time where there's a ton of people who I want to work with, who some of y'all want to see me work with, where just scheduling wise, it doesn't work out sometimes. And so, yeah, man, being okay with saying no, so you don't take on too much is one. Two, the other thing is like, I have a certain regiment, you know what I mean? Once my kids are at school, like, I'm locked in, fam. Like I'm locked in. Mondays and Tuesdays, my wife, she works at the office, and so which means I have the studio and the home to myself or whatever. So it really allows me to lock in with very little distractions. And so on those days, maybe I'm writing, maybe I'm working on particular things, and then certain things, just like having the calendar in front of me, like having a to-do list, just constantly going through certain things and trying to stay ahead of, routine, scheduling, time management. All of those things are key. They're easier said than done. But the thing is, if a check was on the line for you and it was related to a particular job, for some people, not all, in those situations, you don't really have to tell them much because they don't want to lose their job. So they do everything that job needs them to do. But having that same amount of discipline when you're working for yourself, when there isn't the guarantee of a check, there's the potential to earn money, but there's no guarantee. It takes a different type of person to show that type of discipline when there's no guaranteed amount like of money coming. You know what I mean? Like that consistency allows me to be able to continue to pay the bills because, I've done it long enough to know that I have an idea of what type of money will come in based on my activity. And, it's not a question of the art or dedication and stuff like that, because these are things I love doing. So for me, it's not as hard to be as disciplined as I would be if I were working for someone else, because I love doing these things. And I'm lucky that, luck is part of it, but it was a ridiculous amount of, takes a ridiculous amount of discipline and dedication to get to that point, and consistency, as you mentioned. So, yeah, man, thank you for that. So look, I'm going to pause on the chat for a second because I have a couple things that I wanted to bring up. Just a quick reminder, if you're interested in supporting the channel, you can do so via the super chat. Of course, if you put in the something in the super chat, I will make sure to address your question first before I take on any others. It is never mandatory that you have to support this way. I appreciate y'all just showing up, but it is always appreciated if you choose to do that. So let's keep it moving real quick. Let me bring something up on the screen. So, secret song. There's a song that I did that a ton of you don't realize is available to be heard right now. And that's because, number one, some of you didn't hear this song because you weren't a backer of the campaign. Not judging you. I'm just telling you why you don't know the song is a thing yet. But basically, if you did not support the Kickstarter campaign, then you weren't able to hear the song because it was actually posted to my Kickstarter updates. So that's one. However, there was another way for you to hear the song, and I'm going to put y'all on to that today. So the other way you could hear the song is if you are a Patreon supporter. So for those of you who support me on Patreon, a way to hear this secret song is by becoming a Patreon supporter if you're not already. If you're already a Patreon supporter but haven't visited my Patreon channel in a while, then yeah, that's why you don't know, son. And you need to do that. All right, so let's bring something up on the screen so you can see what it is. All right. Bong, bong, bong. So yeah, man. So this thing that I was mentioning before, this secret song, is a song that I did with the homie Naturel. And Naturel is the visual artist who's doing the variant cover of Adultish. And yeah, man, it is going to be crazy. I haven't seen it yet, but I know Naturel's work, hence why I hired him. And it's definitely going to be fire. But anyway, Naturel and I did a song many years ago when Nujabes was still with us, over one of his tracks, and it was possibly going to be featured on my album Sacrifice. But then me and Hido parted ways. But I was still, I still had like some songs that were unreleased. And one of the songs that we talked about was this particular song called Bottom of My Heart. This is a song that I like, Naturel at the time liked, and so did Nujabes. So this isn't a song that we did that was cut from an album. It was just a song that never was finished. And yeah, and so listen, I'm gonna tell y'all like this. For those of you who I know I play a lot of music and stuff here. So for those of you hoping that I'm about to play this during the live, I'm telling you right now, that's not happening. Right? So because again, there were a ton of people who already supported me on Kickstarter, and a ton of people who support me on Patreon, who I promised this song to a minute ago. And yeah, man. So again, if this is a song you want to check out, I'll definitely tell y'all the story, more of the story in a second. But again, if you want to hear it, you got to be a Patreon supporter. So just putting it out there. Yep. Look, someone was like, good thing I'm on Patreon. Word. I was surprised, man. Like on Kickstarter, I saw like it got a certain amount of likes, and clearly people have been listening to it because even though it's private and not available to everybody, it has a ton of listens. So like, it's super dope that that folks have been able to check it out behind the scenes and stuff. But definitely, man, like if you haven't heard it yet, and you're already a Patreon supporter or you supported the Kickstarter campaign, go check out this song. You can either see it in the Kickstarter updates or on my Patreon page. All right. Quick shout out to my man Joshua McGee. If you have not heard this, he says, you're slacking, laugh out loud. Such an amazing joint. Yeah, so some background on the song. The song Bottom of My Heart, as I mentioned before, this is a song that me and Nujabes had worked on, and I got the homie Naturel. So for those who don't know, my friend Naturel is a very successful visual artist. But before he was a successful visual artist, he was a really, really dope MC. And in fact, he still puts out music every now and then. For those of you who are familiar with the production group called the Stuyvesants, you might have heard Naturel rapping on some of their projects in the past. So look up the Stuyvesants if you haven't already. They got a song called Stoops, and it's called Stoops Rooftop. No, was it Stoops Parks and Rooftops, something like that. Super dope song. Definitely worth checking out. And I think they did a sequel to it, which the name escapes me right now, but Naturel's rapping on that as well. One of my albums where you might have heard Naturel rapping on was actually the Substantial Evidence mixtape. There's a interlude called Naturally Speaking where he's rapping on that particular interlude. And then there's also, you might have heard him on Sacrificial Lambs on one of the interludes when we were on doing a radio interview as well. But shout out to my brother Naturel. Definitely check out this song if you can. And we always appreciate the love over here. Yes, indeed, man. About to take care of that right now. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. So yeah, for those of you who are interested in checking out my Patreon, you can sign up at patreon.com patreon.com/substantial. I will drop the link in the chat momentarily, or you can go to the description of this video and go to the description of this video and click on the bio site link. There's a link to my Patreon in there, so definitely check that out if you can. And again, that link is patreon.com/substantial to become a patron. All right. Let's see. I want to ask a question about the track, but I don't know. I don't want to give the vibe of the track away. No, it's okay. Look, I mentioned that we were going to talk about it, so you can go ahead and ask the question. And for those who want context, they got to go hear it. The song won't be added to streaming platforms or anything like that. At this particular point, if at some point in time, me and Hideout talk about something and they decide that they want to do something with it, like what they did, with City Lights, because that was something a lot of people, I don't know if y'all know, but City Lights wasn't complete. That's why it's missing the hooks and all of that. That was a song that we had started with Nujabes, and it just never was released until they finished that album and put it out. And then Waiting for the Clouds as well was a track where we had started working on something slightly different before Nujabes had passed. And then after he passed, they couldn't find certain files, so we kind of had to restart. And that's the direction that the track ended up going. But Joshua, feel free to shoot your question over about the joint. I'll definitely answer whatever you need to know. Black Car says, I still have the Stuyvesant instrumental CD and Two Hungry Bros CDs. Oh, man, you are the GOAT for that. Dope. Both of those are classic. All of those are classic. I mean, that you gave me from back in 2010s. Yeah, that's love, man. Dope. All right, so we're going to wait for Joshua to shoot his question over. I'll answer that, and then we will talk about Adultish before we get out of here today. Let me go ahead and throw the Q&A symbol up here, since that's what we doing. And hold up, pow. Yeah, man. Other things going on. Oh, hold on. There we go. Joshua says, got you. Is the track a prequel to Heart? Because it's definitely giving me that vibe, maybe unintentionally. So it was definitely unintentional. I feel like at that point in time, I feel like, and this might sound weird, but I think when you're younger, I mean, I see people are judgmental in general, right? But I was gonna say, sometimes when I look back at younger me, I sometimes feel like younger me was a lot more judgmental. And I definitely had to say a lot to say about rappers that I didn't like, right? Like in terms of like what they represented, if I thought what they represented was problematic and this, that, and the third. These days, I still take issue with certain things, but I'm also, I acknowledge the circumstances in which some people come up in. I acknowledge the fact that for some people, like, this is their ticket out of really bad situations, and they're doing it the way that they believe that their life is going to benefit from. They're doing it in a way where it's like they want to get whatever they can out of it as quickly as possible to get themselves out of the situation. And in some cases, some people just don't care what come out their mouth, how it might affect other people. They're not really concerned with the art of it and this, that, and the third. And so there's a quote that I live by now. It's like, stop being mad at people for being who you know they are, right? And like, just understand that people are who they are or believe in what they believe in for a reason, right? And this expectation that everyone is supposed to fit into this neat little box that I believe they're supposed to fit in, or basically make music the way I make music. That's something I've kind of like pumped the brakes on a bit. Not like completely, but definitely I'm not so judgmental. So anyway, the song Bottom of My Heart basically just talks about, I mean, I don't think I'm being like a dickhead about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it definitely, in the spirit of Heart, it talks about a lot of the artists in the mainstream that do things the way they do. and how, I just choose to come from a bit more of a personal place. It's authentic to me. And that's just, where I pull my inspiration for how I make my music and how I choose to make my art. And trying to encourage more artists to do the same. You know what I mean? But I think one thing, looking back at that track, of course, there's that it's one could say it's a little bit naive, but then I also think that it's coming from a pure place. You know what I mean? Like, when we made that particular song, Naturel verse is killer. Like, Naturel just bodies it. You know what I mean? The intricacies of his verse, like, the dude's been gifted for as long as I can remember. But shout out to him, man. Thank you for the question, Joshua. Let's see. When is the new season of Artistry? Great question. We're going to be starting in the spring. Thank you for asking that. But yeah, we definitely will be coming back. More than likely, our first guest is going to be Javier Starks. So stay tuned. All right. What's your favorite anime? I feel like I've been asked that a few times on here. Don't mind answering it. I don't know. I mean, the first one that always comes to mind is Samurai Champloo, because I'm a super hip hop head, and it was the first to really successfully, marry hip hop and anime. And then, people Nuja Best working on the soundtrack definitely was a bonus, and then of course, Shingo, who I met later, being involved, all of that super dope. But yeah, just off the strength of me being a hip hop head and loving anime, for me, it doesn't get any better than Samurai Champloo. You know what I mean? So that's my go-to when most people ask. Honorable mentions and other favorites: Cowboy Bebop. I'm a Watanabe fan. What can I say? I also love Ninja Scroll. Ninja Scroll is a classic. Then of course, like the old school Usual Suspects from Akira, Ghost in the Shell. What was it? Vampire Hunter D used to be my shit too, man. And then other shows that I liked. What was it? Samurai 7 or 7 Samurai? I know it was based off of the old school film. But yeah, man, a lot of joints. Thank you for the question. All right. But yeah. Let's jump into some more Q&A. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, clap it up for my sister from another Mr. Stephanie Gale. Hey, what up, sis? Good to see you. All right. Joshua says, almost goes back to a while ago when you said, instead of putting music or artists down you don't rock with, you uplift the ones you do and shine light on them. Absolutely. Hashtag my friends are dope. You know what I mean? As we just clapped up Steph. All right. Peace, Steph. Yes, indeed. Another question from MV says, you think it was also just the competitive nature in the younger you as a rapper, even with the realization? Do you still like competition? Listen, I feel like competition isn't all, like, it's not necessarily good or bad, right? It really depends on what your end goal is, right? Like, I feel like, I believe iron sharpen iron. So sometimes being around others who inspire you to be better, or sometimes like they inspire you in a way, like for some people, they're trying to outdo those people. Me, I'm more focused on outdoing myself. I feel like if I put forth my best effort and I make something that people deem as impressive or view me as like upper echelon or like, just top notch, however they view me, then like if I'm viewed that way, then the goal should be just to outdo myself, right? Because if you felt like that before and then I make something new and you're like, Jesus, this is light years beyond the last couple things you did, and I was already in your top 5, hey fam, like clearly I need to be competing with myself. So I don't take the issue that some people take with competition, but I definitely feel what you're saying. I think it's just the competitive nature of young rappers. But one of my favorite terms that my homeboy Mozzie came up with, and he talked about it when we were in Uganda together. He called it cooperation, right? Where it's like you mix cooperation and competition, right? And so that's what when I hear iron sharpens iron, that's what I think of, right? Cooperation. This idea that, we can cooperate, work together, lift each other up, while also being in competition with each other to a certain extent, right? Maybe even trying to outdo each other a little bit without it becoming something negative. So that's the space that I exist in now. You know what I mean? All right. But I definitely don't hit stages nowadays like, I'm about to kill everybody up here. So I'm about to be the best joint in there. I'm like, fam, look, I don't know half of you guys. So I don't know how good you are or bad you are. And even the ones that I do know are pretty good. All I know is they're not me. And and they on their best day or worst day could never be me. And that's not a shot at anyone. It's just truth. Just like I can never be them. So when I do a show with Mega Ran, I'm not trying to outdo Mega Ran, right? Or put on a better show than him. I'm just making sure I'm my authentic self. So if there's somebody there who's never seen me before and they like what I do, not what I do when I'm trying to outdo him, but if they like what I do, then they'll become a fan and maybe become a lifetime fan, right? Somebody who sticks with me over the years because they like seeing what they saw when I was being my authentic self. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, clap it up for my baby mama, woman of my dreams, my wife. It's y'all, Etienne Robinson. What's going on, Mrs. Robinson? Everybody clap it up and shout her out in the chat, all that good stuff. All right. You see how my voice changed up and everything. What instrumentals / sounds do you like the most in a track? Great question. Man, I love percussion instruments in general, but like my favorite percussion instrument is like xylophone, vibraphone, those instruments in particular, man. I just love the sound of them. But for most beats, for me, I know a lot of people love piano. Some people love horns. It's the drums, yo. Like you could virtually sample almost anything, and you could rework it in a way where, like, I've had some beats that have been beautiful that people have sent me in terms of the melody, and the drums were trash, as my man would say, straight from the dookie shoot. Joints were shitty, son. Like, and if a beat has terrible drums, yo, like, there's been a few beats in the past where like some that I slide where I didn't love the drum beat, but the combination of the music and the drums, like it was good enough, you know what I mean? Where it inspired me to write. But the drums are like a major checkout point for me, whether it's music I'm writing and sometimes music I'm listening to. Now, if it doesn't have drums, then like some of these other instruments, who isn't a sucker for a great piano? And other instruments. But yeah, man, but definitely some of those that I just mentioned. All right. Let's see. Says, did you watch the anime Yasuke? Came out a couple years ago. Yes, I believe that's the Black Samurai joint, right? I did see that. It was solid. Like, it was okay. I wasn't blown away by it. I'm really not a mecha person, like the mech, like when they had the mech stuff in it. Yeah, like that was a bit off-putting. I was fine with it being like old Japan, just period piece. And I know people live for the mech. Like, listen, I love them as toys and like whatever, but like those weren't necessarily like my favorite shows growing up. You know what I mean? I don't have anything against it personally. It just wasn't my cup of tea. You know what I mean? Sorry, I'm MIA, bro. I'm going on a long trip for the weekend. My girlfriend's birthday, so I'm packing and getting this ready. Still listening, though. It is all good, Warpath. Hey, listen, yo. Anytime this show is longer than an hour, it's usually because Warpath asks great questions. And I'm a talkative guy. So shout out to Warpath, man. You deserve a day off, son. You good. You know what I mean? You're good around here. You know that. You know? You the OG to the lives, you know what I mean? From the Substantial Sunday days to now, you know? I feel like Trigon has an amazing soundtrack too, although not so hip-hop heavy. I bet maybe jazz, hoppy style. Or jazz. Okay, word, I'll check it out. Ladies and gentlemen, man, we got the folks coming through today. Maglo, ladies and gentlemen. Clap it up for Maglo. Maglo is super dope. I've bragged on this guy's amazing abilities multiple times. If you're not familiar with Maglo, shoot yourself in the foot. I don't know what else to tell you, man. You get your life right and check out Maglo's music. Hashtag my friends are dope. Salute to Maglo, man. Great to see you here, bro. Wife had never seen an anime ever. We watched Yu Yu Hakusho. Has been hooked ever since. Dope. Man, I love hearing stories like that. Yo, you got to know your audience, man. You got to know what people to show what. Oh, an anime I love right now. Man, I love Way of the House Husband. I don't really do comedies when it comes to anime, but that particular one, I love that joint. I feel like Homeboy is my spirit animal, son. You know what I mean? I joke to my wife all the time saying that, encouraging her to do her Oprah thing so I can do the Stedman, be a kept husband. You know what I'm saying? Do my work from home thing for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? In support of my wife. And so when I watch Way of the House Husband, fam, it gets me every time, man. I love that show so much. Let's see. Uncrowned Otaku says, was listening to Black of All Trades the other day and realized that though both versions have the same lyrics, it kind of hits differently with the beats. What made you want to do a second version? Great question. So with Black of All Trades, the first version is the beat is a bit it's slower, right? It's more melodic. That beat is fire. Shout out to Algorithm, who now goes by Almost, of the Stuyvesants. Super dope group. Amazing producer. Hashtag my friends are dope. I love that version. I love both versions. And then what happened was, Joe from The Other Guys. Shout out to The Other Guys. Hey, man, salute to The Other Guys, my homies from PG County, Maryland, who just produced Sky Zoo's new album, which was a chart-topping project, did numbers real crazy on Apple Music. Salute, man. Like, yo, a lot of homies that I've been telling y'all about for a very long time are making moves, and it's so dope to see, man. Just rooting for all of my friends, man. And all these amazing artists I've come across over the years. But anyway, definitely check out that project if you haven't already, the new Sky Zoo and Other Guys project. But anyway, The Other Guys, Joe from The Other Guys has sent me that beat. He says he sent me the beat initially, and I was like, nah, it's all right, blah, blah, blah. And I don't remember saying that. I remember giving him and Algorithm, aka Almost, a bunch of samples that I found. This was before I was making beats as much as I am right now. I was teaching music production, but I wasn't really making as much stuff for myself. So anyway, I sent them a bunch of samples, and one of the samples that they flipped was the sample from Black of All Trades version 2. And when I heard that beat, I got the idea. I was like, man, I'm gonna speed up the old acapella and put it over this beat, and we can release it through Hypnot as a as a mashup. So we did that, and the response was dope. Like, people really dug it. But there were like certain things, like how I sang the hook and stuff like that I didn't necessarily love. So what I did was I re-recorded it. And once I re-recorded it, I was like, oh my God, this shit is flames. And then I mixed it for the album. So when you hear the mashed up version, it sounds a lot different than what I did for the album. So I mixed it myself, added like little elements in there and stuff, like a little element to the beat to just make it pop a little bit more. And like, man, I was just so excited about that track before it even came out. Like, I to me, it was really special. And so, yeah, man, that's how we ended up with the two different versions. I feel like both versions are really dope. If y'all haven't heard the original version of Black of All Trades, definitely check it out. If you're a fan of the Stuyvesants, you would love that version. All right. Thank you for the question, brother. Steph says, Vampire Hunter D and Ninja Scroll opened me up to the violent side of anime and ultimately the unfortunate dark side of humanity. That part. Yeah, because listen, I don't watch Ninja Scroll anymore. Like, that joint is very rapey. Very rapey. A lot of these anime joints is like, man, super joint. So like when I mention it as like one of the top joints, it has a lot to do with the fact that it was part of my introduction. Oh, I'm slipping. Favorite anime, right? Outside of Samurai Champloo, it's really Street Fighter 2. The Street Fighter 2 movie that they did. I had that for months with no subtitles. Like just watching that VHS over and over again, fam. That was like the one for me. Like the moment it hit me, I was just instant euphoria. Like, oh my God. Oh my God. Like the nostalgia, fam. Like, yeah, man, I love that joint. Cause I mean, that's my all-time favorite video game, Street Fighter 2. And so when I saw that movie, especially after seeing the crappy movie they had in theaters, the live action joint. But yo, they killed it. Like killed it. It was so dope, man. So dope. And so yeah, like that one in particular. I'd seen a few before that, but that one, again, like this combination of two things I really love. Like a video game that like I lived for, and then like this new medium. It wasn't a new medium, but it was something that I was new to jumping and really diving into. You know what I mean? But yeah, thank you. All right, studio nerd question. What's your current DAW of choice for recording your works? Thank you for the question, journalist. That's a dope name. Yeah, so my go-to DAW is Logic. For the longest, I was making beats in GarageBand, but doing all of my recording in Pro Tools. And people who knew me and knew that I was doing that were clowning me. They was like, dude, just get Logic. What are you doing? Like, why are you making it over here and then you got to import it over there? He's like, fam, you could do both in the same joint. Just get Logic. And so a couple years back, my wife gifted me that. And then I got this new this MIDI controller as well. And yo, just I'd like to think I've had a bit of a streak when it came to the production from the moment I got that. You know what I mean? But definitely Logic. All right. Shout out to Pro Tools, man. We had some good times. And shout out to GarageBand. GarageBand, look, if you know your way around something, you can get it done. Outlaw Star was dope to me, as well as Ronin Warriors and Shadow Skill, as far as old school anime. Word, I gotta check those out. I don't think I've seen any of those. All right. Hey Shell, if you're still watching, the Nova Wonder beat is that's Nair, in case you didn't know. All right. I want to hear your opinion on the new generation of rappers. It depends, man, because this new generation of rappers, there's a lot of them, right? There's not. I think when a lot of times when people ask that question, they're thinking the new generation of rappers, specifically the one that they don't like. But there's a lot of young rappers that I like. Like there's a lot of these young guys I really, really like. And so I think this new generation of rappers are just like many other generations of rappers that came before, where you have trash ones and then you got some good ones. Cause fam, there was a ton of trash rappers from my era. You know what I'm saying? It just was harder for them to make mainstream stuff. Nowadays, I feel like part of it is the disconnect of, culturally, culturally things evolve, sonically things evolve. So some of what mainstream hip hop is doing, and even some of the indie stuff isn't necessarily what, some of it might not be what you prefer, right? And I find that the case for some, like there's certain things that like, yeah, I listen and I'm like, yo, that shit is just not my cup of tea, fam. Like, it ain't for me. But there's a lot of stuff that I hear and discover, that is super dope. In fact, man, there was a track I just shared. It was like an Afrobeat style track that I shared on my community tab on YouTube. That's from one of my students. He raps. He infuses like Afrobeat, some trap, some R&B, And his stuff is dope. Like, it's really dope. And he's socially conscious as well. Like, he's, has great message. Like, his music is really inspired, man. It's amazing. He's a young rapper. This dude's in his early 20s or mid 20s. There's another artist. Oh man, I gotta look him up. But another one of my students, this dude's stuff is flames, crazy. Another one of my students who's like, I don't even think he's 20 yet. He's like 18 years old. It goes by Jabulani, and one of, I think the letters is a X instead of an A. He makes dope stuff as well, man. Another student of mine named Liam. He's like 15. He was 15 when I met him. He's a bit older now, but yo, he's a fire rap, like fire. This kid's a dope. So I'm hopeful, man. I think every era of hip hop has the same problems and the same things working, the same great things going forward too, where it's like you have amazing artists and then you have subpar artists. But the real problem is the media, right? Like, in terms of what they choose to push. So part of the reason why I don't spend my time talking about the stuff I don't like too much is because that stuff gets enough promo. Here's some homework for y'all. Go to old post of mine from late 2000s into early 2000s, when I'm talking about peak Lil Wayne, when Lil Wayne was like on top of the world. If you go look at all of my posts from around that time, that like Bob was posting, or other sites were posting, anything I dropped late 2000s into early 2010s, there's always there's always a Lil Wayne comment every time. Every time there's someone who's like, this is way better than Wayne, or it's like, man, wish we had more of this instead of this Lil Wayne crap, blah blah blah. Like, bro, listen, some life advice. To me, the worst thing you can do when you're talking about something you love is bring up something you hate to try to say that it's better than. It's subjective, man. People like what they like. So if you love the thing, just give that the attention. You don't have to compare it to something to make it better, because it doesn't really, to me, all you're doing is you're helping to blow up that artist. You're making them bigger. They live rent free in your mind. No one's talking about them. We're on the post, like I've seen it on like posts like about my favorite things, where like you go through the comments and people showing love, and then here comes somebody like, man, this is way better than Lil Wayne. I'm like, who's talking about Wayne? Who's talking about Wayne? You know what I'm saying? And so, like, yeah, man. So that was a long-winded, simple way of saying that, like, whenever these conversations come up, I'm always going to lean more toward the positive and what I like and love, because oftentimes that stuff don't get enough shine. You see what I'm saying? So, word. All right, let's keep it moving. All right. What's going on, Raj? Peace, man. Peace. What's going on, family? All right. Question: what quote would you consider to be your personal mantra this year? And thank you for that, Nair. This year, I would say the quote, and I know I'm still playing catch up on the questions, so bear with. Oh, y'all flying down there. I'm gonna get to it. All right. So this year, the quote that is my main mantra is from my brother DJ Action, and y'all have heard me say it on the show a couple times, but he says, gratitude is the great multiplier, and travel is the great educator. So yeah, man, I just have really been locking in on that. Like, my focus for this year is gratitude, just being grateful for the opportunities I get, being grateful for the people in my life, being grateful that I've been able to stay in this business for as long as I have and been able to provide for people I love doing it. Being grateful of having the life I have in spite of how ugly this world is sometimes and stuff. Being grateful, for my people and our impact on the world and impact on culture and other folks, in spite of feeling like, there's a target on our back sometimes or all the time. So yeah, man, just focusing on gratitude, yo, like, and really just trying to maintain my peace of mind, be grateful, be present, but thank you for that. All right. Now that wifey appeared, can we hear about the CB4 story? Hold on, let me see if she said yeah in the comments. Shell, they want to know if we could talk about your CB4 story. She says I can share the CB4 story. All right, so I'm gonna put it on the screen as I'm talking about it. We gonna clap it up. Yay, clap it up for this. So my wife's CB4 story goes like this. Yo, so back in the day, she wanted to see CB4, and of course, CB4 is a rated R movie. So she went with one of her friends, and her father took them. Her father, when she was a young girl, man, took her to go see CB4. And so, yo, rest in peace to Frank Etienne, my father-in-law, man, great man. Rest in peace to him. So when she told me this, right, she just talks about like how mortified she was, how embarrassing that was. Now, for those of you, this is strictly for those of you who have not seen CB4. CB4 is a parody about a group of rappers from a place called Low Cash. Basically stealing their image from like some actual gangsters played by Charlie Murphy and other actors. They stole their image from them, and they basically became a rap group that was similar to NWA. And one of the members goes solo and starts doing more conscious type stuff, kind of like Ice Cube. So it's a direct ripoff of that. So it's a parody of all of that. But because it's like imitating NWA and all this crazy stuff that happens in the rap industry, fam, it's a ton of cursing. It's also a comedy, so there's wild stuff. There's a ton of nudity. Yo, it's like ridiculous. If you see this movie, you'll understand what I'm saying, right? And so just imagine my wife, this is the classy woman that my wife is, young version of her, which I'm sure was still pretty classy, going with asking her father, and she's a daddy's girl, to go see this movie with her friend. And he takes them, sits in the movie, and she is mortified. Now, those of you who haven't seen it, there's stuff in there. I'm gonna give you. Every time she tells me the story, the first song I think of is there's a song in there called "Sweat from My Balls" or "Sweat Off My Balls," something like that. And literally, when she tells me the story, in my mind, all I hear is "Sweat from my balls." Like the song sounds like something Cypress Hill would do, but they're just saying "Sweat from my balls." Sweat from my biggity balls. Like, fam, it's crazy. It's crazy. So I'm just imagining my father-in-law, I did it today. I used to do impressions of him. So when she was talking about it, I just dropped my head and I did throw in a little Haitian accent. It's like, oh my God. Oh my God. Fam, oh my God, yo. I'm embarrassed for her, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's her CB4 story. For those who've seen the movie, you know how crazy it is. If you haven't, watch it, and watch it with someone who's not going to judge you. You know what I mean? All right. Let's see. Other questions we got. Hold on, playing catch up. Bear with me. There we go. Any chance for another garden type album? Love it. Oh man, thank you for asking that. Probably down the road. I think after I knock out this next Bop Alloy, I'm gonna see what's next. I have this project, this live album project in mind. I'll give y'all details on that, but that might be the last, not the last album, but the last vocal album I do for a little bit, because I might do a instrumental project after that, and then see if I'm ready to circle back around and drop some more vocals. So we'll see. But definitely I've thought about it. It hasn't crossed my mind in a while, but that's something I've considered for sure. Forgive me for the basic question, but what DAW are you using these days? I think I answered that already, but yeah, using Logic. All right. Stan, if you enjoyed the Street Fighter 2 movie, you'd probably like Fatal Fury animated movies. First anime movie I saw when I knew it was an anime, because someone explained me what anime was. This was back when people still said Japanimation. Jesus. Was one of the Fatal Fury movies. So yeah, the Fatal Fury movies are fire. Absolutely. So yeah, that was one of the first. I forget which one I saw first. Maglo, stop laughing at me. Did you change your DAW because you started producing your own tracks for Adultish? No. I started, I had switched over to Logic, I want to say, by the time I started producing the Dirty Sneakers album. I feel like I switched over to it either in 2020 or 2021, one of the two. I feel like it was before we finished. Yeah, because I mixed. We mixed that album in Logic and stuff. So so it was before that project. But thank you for that. All right, let's see. Battle Arena. Tortoise was a wild one for me in terms of old school animes. I haven't seen that one. Gotta look it up. All right. Your students seem to know how to follow the master. I see what you did there, nephew. All right. Lil Wayne hate was over, fam. Oh my God. And listen, man, I'm not gonna pretend like I loved everything he did back then. I wasn't a super Wayne fan. I mean, I just would hear him be like, this ain't for me, but homeboy can rap. I remember when I heard a milli. I was like, hey man, I love a beat with crazy percussion, one. And two, he was spitting. Ain't what I want to play every day, but like it has its time and place, fam. So I get why people love them, and I just didn't understand why, if you didn't love them, why you had to keep talking about them. It's like, fam, I don't sit around spending a whole lot of time talking about things I hate or claim to hate as much as you hate these things you always talking about. So yeah, man, it's crazy to me. Substantial other guys, hands up. Yeah. Let's see. The follow the master reference. I think I see what was happening there. All right, I'm playing catch up. I'm sorry, y'all. It's a lot of comments. Let's see. The project you had with Burns was mad dope. Did you guys have to ask Q-Tip for the wise words he said and people gonna wake up? I'm gonna go ahead and keep it moving. No, we pulled that from somewhere. I feel like it was pulled from one of his interviews, but it was fitting for like different things that we were talking about on the project and all of that. But nah, we didn't. I don't know Q-Tip personally, so shh. Keep it moving. Admittedly, I was one of them. This is real hip hop, not that dirty South bull. Kids in the comments back in the days. What a waste of energy that was. Word, nah, I feel you, man. I feel like we've all of us have done that in some way, shape, or form, where we don't like a particular thing and we don't understand why there's so much hype around it. What I tell people about the whole like saying certain things are real hip hop, right? I think that it's important for people to understand that like hip hop is introduced to people in one form, and then what happens is, because hip hop is not necessarily a spectator thing, right? It's a culture, so it's meant to be lived. It's meant to be, it's about you participating, and and how when you have certain experiences or you experience these things, like you receive certain energy, and then how you process what you've experienced and then put it back into the world, right? And so I think what people got to understand, that the South and other places in the world, they have certain cultural experiences unique to them and where they are. So when they are introduced to hip hop, and not just rap music, like even when you look at like the different styles of dance that comes from different regions, hip hop as we know it, like from New York, hit these different regions, and then because of the culture they were in, basically when people who loved it and were fans of it learned how to make it themselves, and it came out in a different way that was it was specific to the culture of those communities. And then you had people who were in those communities who viewed themselves as purists, who didn't necessarily take too many elements from where they were from to put it in there, because maybe parts of their culture in those regions they didn't love themselves. Because like for the longest, like I appreciate go-go music and I like go-go music, but I don't love it the way some people do. But I love the percussion. Like I love percussion, so I love the drums and this, that, and the third. But I didn't love like all of the covers of songs that were like some of my favorite songs. I prefer the original songs in some cases. But there are certain go-go songs that I'm like, yo, I want to hear a cover of this go-go song, like as an R&B track or the hip hop track or whatever. Like, I appreciate this for what it is. Same thing with like club music. I don't love every club music joint I hear, like from Baltimore, but the ones that's fire are fire, fire. Like club music is dope as fuck. Go-go can be dope. Go-go is dope as well. It's just like it's not necessarily like my go-to genres of music. So yeah, man, I think that, but those different forms that I'm talking about, right? Like go-go music, for example, from the DMV, that was like, it was basically like a spinoff almost of funk music, but through the lens of people in DC who added like these other sounds or whatever. People like to call it pots and pans, but they added conga and or as we call them, congos, you know what I mean? And this, that, and the third. We added these elements to it, and then it started to become a very unique sound, and now it's the indigenous music of Washington, D.C. And now Baltimore is pushing for club music, which, you know, feels like some parts of it feel like house, and then there's other parts of it that feel like hip hop. And so, yeah, man, but like there are people in particular, my cousin, shout out to Ducky Dynamo, who's pushing to make it the indigenous music, be recognized as the indigenous music of Baltimore. So, yeah, man, I just tell people all the time, like, recognize that when the hip hop sounds a bit different from certain region, not just subject matter, but sonically it feels different. There's things they're talking about. The slang is different. The accents are different. It's because of that, the lens that people are seeing it through from their community and what their cultural experiences are. So that's how they make hip hop. Low Cash, fitting title for fitting name for the setting in CB4 word. Old enough that I'm catching up to the CB4 responses. I gotta ask one question. What's your advice for someone who really wants to get into producing but knows nothing about mastering and such? Well, the first thing you need to know is mastering is the last thing you need to worry about. You know, you need to learn how to produce something before you can master something, right? I mean, basically, just it helps to learn how to play an instrument, right? If you don't know how to play an instrument, you know, even like with these pads that you get right on these keyboards or something like that, you know, learning how to play that, you know, learning how to manipulate it and stuff like that. There's a ton of tutorials, but then like, you know, see what sounds grab your attention, right? Like in terms of like, if you're planning to produce in the way that a hip hop producer makes things by sampling and stuff like that, you know, start with the stuff that you feel like this would be really cool if I was able to manipulate it, and then learn the different tools that are out there and see what makes the most sense to you. You know, some people are more visual, other people are more hands-on, so that might dictate what type of equipment that you want to go. But I would say, you know, go into like a Guitar Center or somewhere, or if you know someone personally who makes beats, spend some time with them, you know, get some lessons, you know what I mean? Try to learn from them and then go from there. Oh yeah, so my wife was saying she thought it was a PG-13 movie talking about CB4. It clearly was not. All right. So which MCs would you want to work with besides Black Thought? I like Saba. I wouldn't mind doing stuff with Saba. I feel like some of the production he chooses is like right up my alley in terms of the stuff they're sampling. Even when the drums don't necessarily sound like the type of stuff you might have heard me on. Sonically, I really like what he does. So I mean, wouldn't mind doing something with him. I think he'd be dope to work with. Who's somebody else? I think could make for an interesting collab. Oh man. Well, you asked MCs, so I was about to get away from MCs. But Saba came to mind first. He's a bit younger than me, so I thought that would be interesting. Damn, who's somebody else, man? I was thinking about somebody. I'll think about it. I'll let you know next time. It ain't coming to me now. I don't want to waste too much time looking into the screen or looking off. You know what I'm saying? Looking crazy. So Shell was saying that her dad was walking us to the ticket booth to buy the tickets when I learned that it was rated R, and my dad offered to watch it with us. I quickly learned that why it was rated R. Oh my God. I'm sorry I butchered your story, baby. All right. So, how you doing? I'm well. Thank you for asking. Hope you're well. Have you ever, hey, what's going on, brother? I recognize you. North Carolina, I think, the workshops. With writer's block when it comes to creating new lyrics. If so, how do you counter that? And what do you use for inspiration for new material? So I'll keep it a buck with you. I don't rely on inspiration too much to write, right? Which I know is weird because we talk about this as art, and it's art to me. However, I go at it. I don't really give myself a choice in certain things. So if I know that, like, I'll set my schedule where I'm gonna spend a certain amount of time writing or producing today, I keep writing even if I don't like it. You know what I mean? Like, there are times where I'll write a whole verse and I feel like I'm finished with a thing. I come back to it later with fresh ears and be like, man, that is trash. You know what I'm saying? So that happens more times than I care to admit. And so, yeah, man, I think the key is I push myself to complete something or at least go through the act. And what you're doing by committing to the act of writing or the act of creating, even when you don't feel inspired to do it, what you're doing is training the muscle, right? So even though I don't love what I created in that instance, because I'm going through this process, I'm strengthening the muscle. And so for me, that's really what it's about. So for me, it's something that I can turn off and on when I need to because I've dedicated so much time to that process of writing, even when I didn't feel like writing, or producing when I didn't feel like producing. And I set a certain amount of time to do that, and I just pushed through it until I got something. And then, but I understand that whatever I come up with doesn't have to be the thing. Like, but I'm happy. I find joy in going through the process. Like, I love the process of it. So that's what's been helpful for me. Again, that might not be everybody's thing, but I would say spend some time, like, create drills for yourself. It's like athletes, right? Where you're not practicing because you love practice. Like, you love playing football, but you might not love practice. But practice is how you become a better football player, right? Or basketball or whatever it is you do. Some people like sparring, but maybe you don't like doing, 100 push-ups or whatever. You know what I mean? You do it because you're trying to be better. Trying to have a stronger result for the final thing that you do. So for me, I like to think that I exercise a lot when it comes to writing. You know what I mean? And that helps me get through the writer's block. You know. Let's see. How'd you come to use the quote by Matthew Pryor in Why the World Weeps? Love that quote as much as the song. That's a great question. I can't remember where I saw it or where I found it. I think I was looking for quotes, like, for different things. Like, I would sometimes put quotes on my wall. When I was in the school system, I would write them up on a board and stuff for my students to see. I still teach, but not just in the traditional school system. But I'm always using quotes that bring home certain points, especially because I'm long-winded, if you hadn't noticed. So I don't remember exactly where I pulled it from, but the moment I found it, I was like, man, that's a great quote, and I feel like it worked well with this particular song as an intro. But thank you for that. And no clue where the chord progression is from, but it's amazing. One of my go-to songs for real from Bob Alloy. Man, I appreciate the love. Shout out to autocorrect for always changing it to Bob instead of Bob. Infinite diversity and infinite combinations. Word. All right, let's see, Rochelle. Lesson learned that day. That's a lot to see as a young one. No judgment, though. I get it. Let's see. Since you like xylophone and vibra, you must have love greatest weapon, man. And it's look. Man, shout out to Malcolm. Like, the moment Malcolm hit me up and told me what instrument he played, I was like, man, we're gonna be working together for a long time. But shout out to the homie Malcolm Jackson. Let's see how it came out. Yeah, man, I loved how that song. It was just beautiful. Since you're producing Adultish, has your song making process changed in terms of, do you make the beat first before writing the song, or do you write before making the beat? I usually make the beat first. You know, I do come up with the idea for the song sometimes ahead of times. Sometimes I even have the hook, but most of the time the beat comes first. But every now and then, like the lyrics will hit me. I usually don't write entire verses though without the hooks. I'll usually write down like certain themes. Like for example, there's a song I'm working on now where like I was writing it, so I wrote down like counterculture, the idea of counterculture, you know, a conversation that I had with Naturel where we were talking about what were we talking about? We were talking about artist versus artisan, right? Like that walking the line or like, you know, avoiding becoming like an artisan, you know what I mean? Like a person who was an artist who now like is kind of solely focused on commerce around the art that they create. They're solely creating it for the purpose of it being used. And so and you know, and like yeah, man, so like I'll conversations like that or things I'm thinking about when I'm out and about will sometimes just strike me and I'll just write it down. And if I already have like a title in mind or like a overarching theme, I'll just jot those things down until I have a beat that I think fits, you know. All right, thank you for that. So yeah, we're gonna chill on the questions because I've been going for like 90 plus minutes at this point. But feel free. Again, super chats are open. If there's a question that's burning that you definitely want me to answer, drop that with a super chat if you don't mind, or you can also donate via Venmo, PayPal, all that good stuff. Never required, but always appreciated. But we're definitely running over time, so I got to wrap up. So if you definitely have a question I haven't answered yet that you want me to get to, drop it via super chat. Otherwise, I probably will be skipping over it because I need to eat. You know what I'm saying? And I got work to do. I got a beat I got to produce today. The writer's block advice is perfect for me. I'd say I've applied that to my art once. I had to brute force my way out of an art block the other day, and it felt great. Yeah, man. I think it's okay to push ourselves in that moment because sometimes in the workplace we often get pushed like that by people who don't necessarily care about us as much. Now, I'm not saying jeopardize your well-being or your mental health to make something, but I think it's a good practice. You know what I mean? Like to just know how far you can, you know, how far you can push yourself artistically and stuff, even when the inspiration isn't striking you in the moment, you know, to still be able to create. Great approach that yields productivity. Might need to adopt that myself for writing. Yeah, man. You know, I would love to see like how that helps y'all, you know. I bet Denzel Curry would love a collab with you. You guys would be awesome, I bet. Denzel Curry, like he's another artist where there's a ton of stuff from I like, and sometimes I just forget. Like, yo, I wonder if he dropped anything new, et cetera, et cetera. But I do like some of the stuff he's done, you know. Let's see. I think I am almost caught up. Stan, what's the expiration on the survey for Kickstarter? Oh, so thank you for bringing that up. Whew. So this is where we'll this is a great transition point because I did forget to bring this up. So right now we're at 81%, which means that I am still waiting for 30 people. 30 people. I don't know who you are, but 30 of you need to fill out you need to fill out that survey, fam, because like I can't order like the shirts, the hoodies. You know, there's certain things I can order them, but then once I get them, they're just going to be sitting here because I won't have an address for you. So please fill out those surveys. There's no expiration date for the survey per se. However, if you are a person that or like if you're waiting on a shirt and you also well, if you ordered a shirt and you're also you haven't completed the survey, and then like a couple months from now you're like, why hasn't Substantial sent all this stuff? It's because I'm trying to make sure I'm able to send everybody every piece of what they did together, but I'm also trying to make sure I order everything all at once too. So like for example, I don't want to order some of the shirts and then I got to go back and order a few more because I didn't get the sizes right away. You see what I'm saying? Because then it's going to cost more overall, which is going to put me over the budget. So yeah, it's extremely important if you have not completed your survey to do that as soon as possible. But thank you for that question, because that reminded me to make sure I brought up Adultish and where we are with the campaign. All right. Joshua McGee, clap it up, man. Bruh, listen, man. Hey, bro, I don't know what job you got. But thank you. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you for contributing week out, man. Week in and week out. Thank you. On top of supporting the store, on top of supporting Kickstarter and everything. And I can't remember, you might be a patron too. But thank you so much, man. Seriously, I appreciate that. Black History Month. Love the show. Look forward to it every Friday. Can't wait for the album. Love seeing all these folks in the chat. Yeah, man, it was popping today. You know what I'm saying? We were definitely getting it in today, man. Shout out to everybody for coming through today. All right. Let's see. Man, gotta head out. Happy Friday. Everyone stay blessed. And that is a great way to wrap it up. Yo, thank you for everybody tuning in, man. Definitely had a great time chopping it up with y'all. Just real quick before we go, Adultish, man. Adultish is coming together great. Shout out to Tone Deaf, who's mixing the entire project. We had a quick conversation the other night. He's hard at work on the next single, which is the last thing I'll hit y'all with before we go. So the next single from Adultish is going to hopefully drop at the end of this month. I should have the mix next week. And then I should also have the artwork ready by next week as well. So if that is the case, next Friday, y'all will get a sneak peek if all is going as planned. And by the last Friday of this month, that song will be out in the world. So stay tuned for that, man. More to come. I talked to a lot of the last minute collaborators for the album this past week. So I'm supposed to be getting certain things from certain people within the next 2 weeks. And I'm hoping that most of it come through by next week, because once I get those things, I'll be able to tell you who some of these other contributors are. And that's exciting. So stay tuned for that. Wow. Hey, man, MV, thank you so much, man. Just wanted to say you're always one of the first artists I turn to for a long listening session when I'm in need of some positive, encouraging perspective. That means a lot, fam. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate the contribution. Shout out to you and Joshua today. And everybody, thank everybody for watching, but definitely thank y'all for the contributions as well. But yeah, man, on that note, I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And once again, in case you missed the beginning of the show, again, happy Black History Month. And in case you forgot, if you forgot and you don't know and you need a reminder, just remember.
Black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm blickety black, blacker than black, I'm blacker than black, yo, because I'm black and I'm black.
Because I'm black and I'm back. Happy Black History Month, y'all. Hey, everybody be safe out there. Have a great weekend, man. Y'all take care of yourselves. Love y'all, man. And take care. I'll see you soon, but talk to you sooner. Peace. I'm glad y'all got a kick out of that. Yeah, man. Y'all have a great one, though. Seriously. Peace, everybody.